You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
And hello and welcome into the Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. Grant McAuley with you after yet another game out west for the Braves and yet another win. Make it 3 out of the first 4 as they take the opener against the Colorado Rockies. Played a little long ball, played a little small ball, and all of it added up to a 14-4 Braves win on Monday night at Coors Field over the Colorado Rockies. We'll talk all about it. The game for Ronald Acuña Jr. that I don't think he's going to forget anytime soon. Another great performance by the Braves offense against Colorado pitching, which already has to be dreading the next 2 games of this series, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And, of course, we'll get you set up for Game 2 of this 3-game set, which will come your way on Tuesday. Before we do any of that, I want to remind you to subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta right here on YouTube. Click that bell. You'll get notified every time we drop a new episode of the show. Leave us a like. Leave us a comment. We appreciate all of those. And make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. So for the Braves here, game number 130 of the season, well, it was memorable. And for mostly good reasons, but also kind of a scary scene that took place in the 7th inning involving Ronald Acuña Jr. and some fans on the field. It was cleaned up by Coors Field security, but man, it felt like it took a little bit longer than it should have, and a scary scene just in general because you never know what can happen in those situations. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but let's get inside the line score and the box score for this one. A 14-4 Braves victory. Atlanta now 85-45 on the season, back to 40 games over 500. 14 runs on 18 hits for the Braves, no errors, 5 men left aboard. For the Rockies, they dropped to 49-82, so almost the exact opposite records for these two clubs. 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 error, 8 men left aboard. It was a back-and-forth game there early, but the Braves were able to take advantage in the middle innings and move ahead and take that lead and not give it up as they continued to add on late, and that was when the aforementioned small ball was really paying big dividends for the Braves in this one. Bryce Elder, the recipient of more than enough run support to pick up win number 11 of the season. He is 11-4. Carl Kaufman came out of the bullpen for the Rockies. He takes the loss, drops to 1-4. 2 hours and 54 minutes the time of game. 27,024 were on hand at Coors Field to see it. And an awful lot of Braves fans. You could hear it, and the chants were loud. And the chants were for Ronald Acuña Jr. and that MVP season that he's putting together. Well, he had himself a night that I don't think, again, he's going to forget anytime soon. And if you were kind of wondering when Ronald Acuña Jr. was going to have his big breakout performance or just some big game that just reminded you why this guy has been the MVP frontrunner all season long, I would say Monday is a good example of that. Maybe Exhibit A, at least here lately in the court of recency. Acuña went 4 for 5. He had a go-ahead 2-run homer in the 5th. The Rockies would eventually tie it. The Braves would take the lead back, but a go-ahead home run, that's his 29th of the year. So he moves 1 home run closer to joining the 30-30 club. More on that in a moment. He had 5 runs knocked in. He scored 4 runs as well. He stole 2 bases. Told you I'd get to this. 60 and 61 on the season. So the next home run for Ronald Acuña Jr., not only does it put him in the 30-30 club for the second time in his career, he will create a brand new club. This is MLB history that we'd be seeing. 30 home runs and 60 stolen bases in a season has never happened before. There have been 2 30-50 seasons, but Ronald looking to start an all-new grouping, and by the time he's done with another month to play, he might create a couple of other different clubs. He could make a run on 40 stolen bases. He can make a run, on 40 home runs. He can make a run on 70 stolen bases. That would be quite an impressive club, but we'll, of course, discuss that when and if that becomes applicable. But the way Ronald's swinging the bat in Colorado, he might be taking a couple more steps towards doing just that. But 118 runs scored to make that 119 now on the season for Ronald, leading Major League Baseball. And he's on pace for 148 runs scored. His go-ahead 2-run homer was his 29th of the year. Austin Riley had a go-ahead home run in this game as well, his 31st of the year. So the Braves, if Acuna and Marcell Ozuna are able to join the 30 home run club, perhaps as soon as on this road trip, would all of a sudden have 4 men in that club. The top 4 in the order have a very good chance to do it. You've got Matt Olson's already there. Austin Riley's already there. Ozzy Albies is only 2 home runs away. And Marcell Ozuna is knocking on the door of 30 home runs as well. So the Braves, as they continue their assault on a single-season record for home runs in the club's history, they're now just 3 away. They've got 246 home runs on the season, and they're now 61 home runs shy with a month to play of the Minnesota Twins record set back in 2019. So a whole bunch of home runs and a whole bunch of Ronald Acuña Jr. right in the middle of all of these stats. That's the kind of thing that I'm sure you'd like to hear if you're a Braves fan tuned in out there on this evening. As I mentioned, Bryce Elder was the guy who got all this run support on this night. 6 innings for him, 4 earned runs on 8 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He did allow a home run early in the first inning with 2 outs. Otherwise, he didn't really get hit altogether that hard, but the hits started to add up for Colorado, and they were just pesky enough to keep themselves in this game. But you had to believe, if you've watched this Braves team play over the course of the year, if you allow Atlanta to get into a bullpen like Colorado, which we have seen happen before, there's a very good chance you'll run into the big inning. And the Braves ran into a couple of big innings there late. It was not just the Ronald Acuña Jr. show. As I mentioned, Austin Riley had a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning. 3 runs knocked in for him on the night. He also scored a couple of runs. Sean Murphy went 3 for 5 with 3 doubles, knocked in a run, scored a couple more, make that 3 more. And Orlando Arcia was 3 for 5 and knocked in a run. And how about Kevin Pillar? The spot start out in left field, makes a great diving catch, knocks in a run with an infield hit to get himself in the hit column and put the Braves into double digits on the night. So all in all, a very good evening for the Braves offense. Several multi-hit performances there. Michael Harris II had one of those as well. And the Braves were able to win handily by a 14-4 score over the Colorado Rockies on this night. As mentioned, Bryce Elder did pick up that win. It wasn't a quality start, but I think it does continue the trend of Bryce continuing to find ways to at least cover the innings that the Braves need him to here of late after a really rocky outing before the All-Star break and right after the All-Star break, and then a couple of starts later, kind of running into another one of those. It does seem like he, along with other members of this Braves starting staff, has been able to kind of course correct and make you feel a lot better about what's happening with the starting rotation, particularly with the return of Max Fried, the way Spencer Strider and Charlie Morton are throwing. You really just need Bryce Elder to go out and find a way to cover 6 innings and keep the team in the ball game. And that's something at Coors Field that can be a little bit easier said than done. So I thought it was a pretty decent start for Bryce Elder. Not his best of the season by far, but enough for him to pick up a win and improve to 11-4 on the year. Let's talk a little bit about the Ronald Acuña Jr. situation after I tell you about one of our great sponsors on the show. This episode of the Braves Postcast is brought to you by Sleeper. And if you want the chance to win more money with less picks, just head over to Sleeper, where you can win up to 100 times your money with just 2 or more fantasy baseball picks. Sleeper is now offering 100 times payout for an 8-pick contest. So choose as many as 8 players as you like. Pick more or less on your favorite stats like home runs, strikeouts, hits. All of those things are available for you to choose from and more. Use the promo code LOCKEDON and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Currently operational in 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Now, Ronald Acuña Jr. was not only involved in some big things at the plate on the bases, but out in right field, a very bizarre situation in the 7th inning. Multiple fans ran out onto the field, I guess, for the opportunity to meet Ronald Acuña Jr. He received a very long and awkward hug. Then a very, very fired up and exuberant fan kind of showed up on the scene, and Ronald ended up taking a little bit of a tumble out in right field as security was tussling with multiple fans to try to figure out a way to, put everybody down, get them off the field, get them away from Ronald Acuña Jr. I can't stress enough that Ronald appears to be fine after all of this, certainly a little bit unnerved, maybe shaken up, and understandably, I'm sure, had a little bit of extra adrenaline for the rest of the game. Everything did end up being fine, but those are the kind of situations that should not happen at a Major League Baseball park, should not happen at a major sporting event or any sporting event, to be honest with you. The safety of the players should be, paramount for a security staff to be doing what it needs to do, and you have to kind of wonder what exactly it was happening out at Coors Field. The response was a little bit slow, and even when they did get out there, it was very disorganized. Now, there were multiple fans out there, but it was a situation that just did not seem to be handled in the most expert of fashions. But thankfully, everyone was okay. Ronald Acuña Jr. was okay, but you can't help but think about some of the incidents that have happened over the years at other ballparks, including the Tom Gamboa situation that happened about 20 years ago now. You just never know what people have on their mind in this day and age that they could be out there doing. It might be as simple as trying to, go meet your favorite player and you just make a terrible decision of getting on the field that you shouldn't make. It's posted everywhere. Do not go on the field. You will be ejected. You are subject to arrest. Nobody belongs out there unless you are a uniformed member of a baseball team, security personnel, or other major league official or team official or employee who has business being out there. So again, thankfully, Ronald's okay, but those are the kind of things that do just give you a little bit of pause to, just kind of wonder what in the world some people are thinking sometimes. And thankfully, this situation was not one of those that we might be thinking back on and looking back on as something that could have been an awful lot worse. Thankfully, though, Ronald Acuña Jr., again, was able to brush that off, continue his great night, stole his 60th and 61st base in this game, and continues to lead Major League Baseball in that category, along with runs scored, and is making that push on 30-60. So I think that will probably be the thing we remember a little bit more about this game than the fans on the field. But a scary moment for sure, as you just never know, again, what could be going on in people's minds. The Braves will be looking to pick up another victory in Colorado to assure themselves another series win. They took 2 out of 3 against the San Francisco Giants. Now they're looking to do the same or better against the Colorado Rockies. Looking at the Braves lineup, one other note that is certainly worth throwing out there is Ozzie Albies was back in the lineup. Took an 0 for 6, though a couple of times I thought he could have had some base hits that got taken away from him. Either way, great to see Ozzie back in the Braves lineup. He's batting second again. Vaughn Grissom was optioned down to AAA Gwinnett to make room for him on the roster. Another move that happened was Jared Schuster being optioned, which was to be expected. Darius Vines, though, right-hander, brought up from AAA Gwinnett. He has been pretty good in 9 starts in the minor leagues, 5 of those for Gwinnett with a sub-3 ERA. He might be lined up to start on Wednesday. Before we get to Wednesday, though, we got to play Tuesday's game. And to do that and to set you up for that, I want to tell you about one of our other great sponsors, and then we'll get right into it as Charlie Morton is going to be on the mound for the Braves as they are looking for that victory and to secure the series win as well. But this episode of the Braves Postcast is brought to you by Dave. Dave is the banking app that is leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less with no credit check and no late fees. As part of Dave's extra cash account, advance the money you need with no interest and then settle up later. Download Dave today at dave.com/MLB. That's dave.com/MLB, and you could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less with no credit check and no late fees. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC. Charlie Morton will be on the mound for the Braves as they look to take the first 2 games of the series in Colorado. Charlie's coming off 3 good starts and 2 great ones, as a matter of fact. Double-digit strikeout performances in each of his last 2 outings as he has been able to stifle the bats of the Yankees and the Mets here lately. He'll look to do the same at Coors Field in Colorado. Charlie's 13-10. He's got a 3.37 ERA on the year. It'll be Peter Lambert on the mound for the Rockies, 3-4 with a 4.92. That'll be your pitching matchup for Game 2 of this series. 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time is the first pitch at Coors Field as the Braves look to add another win to their tally and continue this road trip on the right foot. As we all know, it's a series in Colorado, then a 4-game showdown with the Los Angeles Dodgers is awaiting the Braves to close out a 10-game road trip. That'll close out this edition of the Braves Postcast, though. Appreciate you riding along with me here tonight. As always, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta. Make sure you hit that bell to get notified whenever we drop a new episode. Leave us a like and a comment, and make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. Once again, a 14-4 win for the Braves, thanks in large part to a huge night from Ronald Acuña Jr. We'll be looking for more of that in Game 2 of this series as the Braves and Rockies meet again on Tuesday night at Coors Field. I'm Grant McAuley. We will catch you again soon, and until then, so long, everyone.